Christmas season is upon us again, and it's a season of merrymaking, season of enjoyment, but most importantly, for us at the business desk in multimedia, that's Joy Business, it's a season for taking stock. And I put together 3 important individuals to share some thoughts with us as we wrap up the year 2019 and what the outlook for 2020 should be. So first, I got a former Deputy Minister of Finance, Madam Monacote, to share with us her insights on recent goings-on in the financial services space, as well as government's fiscal, the revenue expenditure gain, and tell us what advice she has for the Minister of Finance as we enter an election year, that's 2020. So first, let's listen to what Madam Monacote had to tell us. Madam Monacote, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much, Philip, and a Merry Christmas to all Ghanaians here and abroad.
And a Merry Christmas to you too. 2019 has been a very interesting year, particularly on the financial sector front and government's finances. We've seen the closure of a multiplicity of institutions. We've seen reforms in the financial sector. We've seen introduction of some taxes to prop up our revenues, and different stuff has been going on when it comes to government's fiscal, also the financial sector. As somebody who has sat at the helm of affairs, at the Ministry of Finance, the core of all these things, we haven't heard your thoughts since all these things have developed. What are your thoughts on the year in retrospect, the financial sector and government's fiscal?
Thank you, Philip. Like you rightly said, the year has been indeed a very interesting one. If you recall, the Minister of Finance read the budget, and that revealed a number of things. It made us realize that the gains that had been made in 2018 and parts of 2017 were fast eroding. And one has to go back to what we've always said, that the fundamentals of the economy needs to be strengthened. And therefore, when we all play politics with the economy and we say that I'm a better manager than the other, it's not true. Because one comes into office and finds out that there is some fundamental work that needs to be done. What is that fundamental work? It is making sure that you have the infrastructure in the country to attract investment into this country. So long as we don't have our own capital to develop the nation and to be able to bring out the natural resources which we have, then we have a problem. We have to grow that capital. We have to be able to access that capital from abroad as well. It's a combination. How we do this is very important. And therefore, the way we project our country out to the investment community, the international investment community, is very important. So I would hope that going forward, managers of the economy, together with even past ones, would come together to plan out or map out a strategy for growing the fundamentals of this economy rather than throwing mud at each other. It's important that we remember Ghana is for us. The development of Ghana is for all of us. And therefore, as we go out there looking for capital, our voices must be one. We must be singing from one hymn book. I'm glad, though, that over time we've seen the difficulties that are arising out of raising tax revenue. Non-tax revenue, fair enough, but tax revenue. And those difficulties challenge us to come up with solutions on how best to raise custom duties, not to raise, but to bring in custom duties, how best to tackle the large scale, the medium scale, the small scale taxpayer, and how to get them to pay their taxes. It is important that we go back to something called behavioral attitude, to speak to taxpayers and convince them on why they must pay taxes. Most of them feel that the taxes that are collected are not used properly. In the recent past, they saw that there was a lot of infrastructure, so they could see what their money was doing. But honestly, since 2017, one has not seen much that taxes have been used for. I think that if government wants to gain that confidence from taxpayers, they must show taxpayers what those taxes are being used for, and that is going to be very critical going into the election year as well.
And finally, before we let you go, 2020 election year is upon us, you've just said. What should we be keeping our eye on? What advice would you have for the Minister of Finance. You've held a position as a Deputy Minister in 2016. Your critics have accused you guys of profligacy, especially in the run-up to the election, overspending, and then the argument is that these were the issues that caused the economy to backslide, and we had to clean up since 2017. As somebody in the opposition, as somebody who has held a job at the Ministry of Finance, as somebody with expertise in the financial and economic area, what advice would you have for the Ministry of Finance, or for the Minister of Finance, Kenneth Riata, as we enter 2020?
In all sincerity, I do wish Ken the very best going into an election year. The pressure is from external, and when I say external, still within Ghana, but from people outside his political group and even from inside as well. So the minister should be careful about pressure. He should keep to his plan and to the goal that he wants to achieve. I've heard him say that he will not overspend. I remember that we also said the same, that we will not overspend in election year. However, I do want to state that most of the overspending that was done in 2016, the run-up to the election time, was on infrastructure, and that is valuable. That is just converting cash into an asset that can be used to bring in more funds. I mean, if you recall the flyover at Circle, that reduced traffic considerably. For transport owners, it meant that they had a higher return on their investment as they plowed back and forth. For the hospitals, it meant that ambulances could move faster to Kolebu. So there's definitely been a great benefit to that expenditure. If this government will spend on infrastructure, and I heard them talk about the year of roads, that would be brilliant. If they even spent on roads and therefore had a slippage, I would not be one to accuse them of anything, because they have shown that here is the asset for which there was spending. But if we have expenditure slippages that do not translate into any tangible assets, then that will be a real pity. And I say so because then it's a pity for Ghana, because it's like 2 steps forward, 1 step back. We hope and pray that they will not overspend on what is not necessary, but if there will be any expenditure at all, that it will be on an asset that the whole country can benefit from. I also hope that even as they go out to raise more money to fulfill the plans they want to do, that they will do that in a prudent manner and not overburden the nation with too much debt, and especially debt servicing, because interest rates sometimes appear as if they are low, but they start to ratchet up, as we saw in some of the other bonds that were issued, and then we find ourselves with very high debt servicing. So I'd plead with the Minister of Finance to be cautious, to stick to his guns, and make sure that he does not allow pressure to push him in a direction that will not be helpful to Ghana.
Madam Korte, thank you very much, and have yourself a very Merry Christmas.
Thank you, Philip.
So that was Madam Korte, former Deputy Minister of Finance, sharing some stuff with us here at Joy Business, and for you, our viewers and listeners. Now, I move on to have a quick and insightful discussion with members of Glyco. And when we mention Glyco, we talk about insurance, pensions, etc. They have been in the business for over 30 years. And I had the Managing Director for Glyco General, Mr. Andrew Champonche, and Nanefa Roxin. She's the Group Head, Corporate Affairs and Marketing of the Glyco Group. Let's take a listen to what they have to tell us. 2019 has been a very interesting year for the financial sector. Banking, savings and loans, and we had the SEC issues. We also had the NIC make some announcements on certain things that will change in the insurance industry. As a business, how have these developments affected you, and how you position yourself for the coming year?
Excellent. Thank you very much. So let me just say, obviously, Glyco is a group. As you've mentioned, we have within the group Glyco Life, which is the parent company, the mother of all. We have Glyco General, Glyco Pensions, Glyco Healthcare. These are the core insurance services that we offer. Now, 2019, we've seen a lot of things happen. Yes, the banks, number were closed down. There's been a number of challenges in the industry itself, but I'll hone down to insurance. and say that Glyco is poised for business. When we say we cushion you for life, we indeed mean it. And as a result, we have positioned our subsidiaries or our companies in such a way that we can give you the best of service. We can relate to pensioners, pensions clientele. We can relate to the non-life sector, which I head. We can relate to the life sector and the health insurance sector as well. Now, this 2019, you'd have heard the launch of my oil and gas desk, and that was as a result of NIC's update and change in the regulations that governed the underwriting of oil and gas. And that's been one of the significant improvements or changes that we're going to see uplift the economy. Underwriters being able to underwrite oil and gas business is big. Yes, it's a huge risk, but we have good reinsurances. We operate at the same level as, you know, your Lloyd's of London market would, with A-rated securities. At the end of the day, what the regulation has enabled us to do is to participate in the underwriting of oil and gas. So we take our retentions worth, we have trained oil and gas experts, we have the capacity in terms of capital to underwrite up to a certain limit. I made a comment as to how to improve that capacity to enable us underwriters participate a bit more meaningfully and more. Because when we talk of local content, it's one of the elements that we should look at carefully so that local companies can grow and be strong. And that's one of the areas that I'll mention. Now, as we roll up to the end of the year, you're going to be looking at a lot of renewals. Most of our policies run from January to December. So I want to thank our customers. I want to thank them for being with us. This year we were running an 85 to 90% renewal rate, and I thank my dear customers for being with us. We can only do it with your support, and it is happening. This 2020, we expect and hope that we will grow even more. So to the few, the 10 or so percent that I may have upset in terms of maybe a claim delay or whatever it is, I apologize. I say sorry. But Glyco's aim is to continue to serve you and to give you the best of service when we say we cushion you for life. I would also mention that by being with Glyco, you get the benefit of the group. This season, yes, Christmas is coming. People would have merry parties and so on. We don't want you doing drink drive. And in actual fact, we've launched our hashtag, our media campaign, Your Last Text. You know, there's a guy that is texting whilst driving, and all of a sudden, pam, and he's gone. Don't let it be your last. You know, be responsible, be cautious on the roads. Don't drink, don't drive, because, by the way, that is an exclusion on the policy if you are intoxicated and driving. So bear that in mind. Let's be responsible and do the right thing. But to add, when you do happen to have the unfortunate accident, the police we are collaborating well with, the number 18555 helps you get through to the control point, and they can dispatch a police officer to you wherever you are. But whilst that has happened and you are talking with, and we hope we don't get any fatalities here, but whilst you're talking with maybe the accidented vehicle driver, exchange these things: the number, get the car number, get their driving license, and importantly, on their windscreen you would have their insurance sticker. These are the key things. Once you are comprehensively insured with us, once we get this information, we are able to even waive the need for a police report. So we are getting closer to our customers, we're getting closer to you. Let's relate more. But also, one of the benefits being with Glyco is that of Glyco Healthcare. So in the event of the accident, when you need emergency response team, we can easily get our healthcare team to deploy emergency ambulance service to you. And because of our wide network, nationwide, of service providers in the health sector, you can easily get emergency attention by virtue of being with us. We pray and we entreat you to renew with Glyco. If you are not with Glyco, join the Glyco team, because when we say we're cushioning you for life, we really do mean it. Thank you.
So that was Andrew Champonche, Managing Director, Glyco General, giving us a snapshot of their customer-centric products, particularly this season. And he's pleading with you, if you are changing your mind about renewing your insurance with him. He says he's sorry if he doesn't, if I've done anything wrong. So come back and insure with Glyco. And let me cut straight to Nanefa Roxin. She's largely the face of the business, and when we think about Glyco, we think about here first before we think about even Andrew or anybody else. So she's very critical, and at this time where confidence has been shaken in this financial sector, how is Nanefa positioning herself to ensure that Glyco stands on top?
Merry Christmas to all our viewers and also to all our clients and stakeholders. I mean, if you know with Glyco, at this critical point in time, when all is happening, then you're missing out. Because when it comes to Glyco, there are 5 key things I want us to remember. The first one is that we are a local brand with local spread, local experience, and everything that we do is local. So we understand what you do, what the Ghanaian nature is, and we design the necessary products to meet your needs. So we provide insurance solutions for you. So that's why our products, even some of them have local names where we say Ejan Koso, where we say Odachi Honshishempa, and all those things. It's just for your benefit because we believe in you, the Ghanaian. So our products are localized to serve the needs of Ghanaians, and we want you to take advantage of that. Secondly, we are a nationwide insurance company, so there's Glyco everywhere in Ghana. And you know, when it comes to Glyco, we cushion you for life. You see that red, vibrant color, and you remember the fallen man, because we are there to cushion you for life, no matter what happens. So just plan to have an insurance policy and know that Glyco is nationwide to cushion you for life. That's the second thing. Now, thirdly, when it comes to claims, we don't joke. And this year has been one of the years that we've paid the highest of claims because of all that is happening in the country, in the financial sector. But we remain strong, solid, unshaken. And we've paid your claims. We'll continue to pay your claims. Yes, there have been a few odd ones where claims have delayed. And as Andrew, my MD, said, we apologize. But we know that some of these delays happen because we want to pay the right claims to the right people. So some of them will take a little further investigations before we issue the check to you. And please bear with us. We are with you the long haul. And when these happen, we come to you, we explain. But generally, we pay our claims on time. And we want you to trust that going into 2020, we are still going to do that. We've even an enhanced claim payment arrangements that we've put in place. Now, when it comes to Glyco, you know that the fourth point I want you to remember is that we have the expertise in insurance. When it comes to health insurance, when it comes to life insurance, when it comes to non-life insurance, when it comes to pensions, when it comes to even your financial needs, we have the expertise because 33 years and counting, we've done this. And we've built on our experiences, and also we've gone through the challenges and have been able to circumvent all of them. So day in, day out, you're coming out with enhanced products. And I just want to announce that for our live clients, January 2020, you're going to see an enhanced funeral policy, you're going to see an enhanced GSIP, you're going to see an enhanced ESB policy because of the feedback you've given us, and we continually improve on our products to make sure that we are giving you the best of insurance solutions. And this is because we have the expertise, we have the professionals, and day in, day out, we are meeting with you to ensure that we can only give you the best. And finally, when it comes to customer service, I mean, you have given us the feedback, you have attested to our customer service experience. We are not saying that we are becoming complacent, but day in, day out, we are working to even make our services available, convenient, and give you the best. Anytime you call our call center, we are there to explain, to give you the necessary feedback, to give you the necessary your policy information. And we're going to do even that more. You can see that we've strengthened our digitalization processes. We are on social media. You're reaching out to us. Thank you, all of you. And we'll continue to do that as we provide you the best of insurance solutions. So 33 years and counting, Glyco is there. We are going nowhere. So if you're not with Glyco, then you're missing out. So Merry Christmas to all of us, and as we go out there, we are planning for the new year, making New Year resolutions. Let's try to stick by them and make sure that insurance is one of the things that will be in your top 10 list. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Nana. Nanefua has said a lot about Glyco. Let me just add, in 2020, we're going to be seeing a bit more on the technology side as well. We're moving into the space of even artificial intelligence, AI, impacting on our underwriting and our ability to serve you better. I'll give a big shout out to our group CEO, Mr. Fukuoche, Mami Dufie, who's just taking over MD for Glyco Life. Big shout out. Nane Friye is also taking the seat for Glyco Healthcare. I'll give a big shout to our executive chairman, Mr. Kwame Achamponche. And a big shout out to Postcall and Toaster Stosa 97.
So you've heard it all from our friends at Glyco. Mr. Andrew Champonche, he's the managing director at Glyco General, and Nanefua Rocks in Group Head Corporate Affairs and Marketing at Glyco General. So those were our friends from Glyco, and putting it all together, we've had Madam Mona Korte, we've had our friends from Glyco, specifically Mr. Andrew Champonche. He's the managing director for Glyco General Insurance, and Nanefua Rocks, she's the Group Head Corporate Affairs and Marketing at the Glyco Group. And my name, Philip Nanfuri. I wish you all the best for the season.
2018 Best Farmer Runner-Up in the Denton Municipality, Product Innovation Award at the ESME Ghana Awards in the same year, honorary visits from Queen Mathilde of Belgium, the President of the EU, and the list goes on. Those are some of the highlights of Fafape Amafoy's journey as a mushroom farmer, and now she's earned the title, the Mushroom Queen. Venture into mushroom production came to Fafape while she was pursuing her master's.
I came across an article, a newspaper article on the mushroom industry in Netherlands, where they try to use the waste they have in the environment to create an economic value, that is, use sawdust in creating mushrooms which are of high protein and fiber. So I say, why not?
In Ghana, most sawmills dispose of sawdust through burning, fast polluting the environment. So the idea of using sawdust to produce mushrooms got Fafape excited. She decided to go through training at the Center for Scientific and Industrial Research. But why mushrooms?
Mushrooms are one of the superfoods that the planet has offered mankind. It's very high in protein and fiber, and especially the B vitamins, and also antioxidant, especially selenium, which is found in only mushrooms.
Farmhands are mixing the sawdust with grains just as we arrive at the farm located at one of Accra's suburbs. This will provide the base for the fruiting block. Once the blocks are bagged and sterilized, they are spawned with seeds, and next, the incubation stage.
So this is where, after the bags have been spawned and we incubate them for 6 weeks, this is the result. You see that the bags have turned white. What we seem to be dark brown is now white. So the mycelium, which is the seed, have traveled down and has fully inoculated.
Okay.
So this is how a fully inoculated bag looks like.
Fafape tells me at this stage, even before harvest, she's able to sell thousands of these fruiting blocks to farmers.
I guess it's the most exciting part of the whole journey, right? When we get to harvest the mushrooms.
Exactly.
And so how many days does it take for it to reach the harvesting stage?
Yeah, so from the incubation, when they are fully matured, it takes you just about 5 days and you start seeing mushrooms. That's even the maximum.
5 days?
From 3 to 5 days, depending on the good weather, you can start having your mushrooms.
So what do we do? How do we harvest?
Yeah, so you carefully prick it out.
Okay, let me try. Okay.
And then with your scissors,
you
you take off the...
Take it out?
Yes, you take it off.